So here's one tip and one skill. Let's get into it. And the skill is contact. I mean, how do you deal with another rider hitting you without crashing?
So if you're into riding with others like group rides, Fondos, gravel events, and other races, then this is one skill you might want to practice. So why is bumping bars so scary? Well, actually, it's not the bumping of the bars that is scary, it's the hooking of the bars. If you look at a drop bar bike from above, you can clearly see that the open end looks like a hook. Now if you add another bike next to it, you can see how these bars could easily get hooked. Even if the bars are exactly at the same height, all it takes is a little swerve and one bar will hook over the other. Another way of bars getting hooked is if one rider slows down, the other rider can literally ride into the hook opening. And what happens after the bars are hooked is literally not up to you anymore. Most likely both riders are trying to steer away from each other, which raises the ends of the bars even more, resulting in a tighter bond between the two. This can go as far as lifting one rider's front wheel off the ground until the bars break loose from each other and one or both of them sharply and suddenly shoot into the direction that they've been trying to go to. Often but not always resulting in a crash of one of the two, but definitely causing major disruptions and possible crashes behind them. Okay, now you know the problem, but what are we supposed to do and how do you practice it without dying? First, whenever riders are getting too close to you and bumping bars is more likely, you have to close that open-end loop of your handlebars by moving your hands into the drops. This should also be a default position for sprinting, because rubbing is racing, and racing is rubbing. Second, you have to get into the mindset that getting into a contact with another rider is not that bad. Steering quickly away from a rider that is in contact with you will make things most likely more dangerous for you and everyone behind you. As long as your hands are in the drops, you're much better off holding your line or even slightly leaning into the other rider. If the other rider is also calm and collected, you'll bounce off each other and nothing will really happen. This is something every rider should practice at least once. Contact while cycling is not as scary as you think. A great drill that gets you more comfortable with contact is to find a grassy field, place a cone 100 yards away from two riders, and then have both of them ride slowly next to each other, and the rider on the left should try to pass the cone on the right, and the rider on the right should try to pass the cone on the left. Learning how to push and lean into another rider will give you a good sense of what's possible during contact without falling off your bike. The biggest difficulty for new riders is to learn how to break the bike and body bond. Being able to separate yourself from the bike's vertical line is not only key for this skill, but also needed when cornering or drifting on gravel roads. Okay, it's time for the bonus tip. What is it? Overlapping. More specifically, avoid overlapping. When riding with others, you want to stay clear of the rear wheel. Moving up to where the handlebars are closer to the hip gives you a chance to push back and let the rider know where you are. If you have to ride closely next to them, you want to avoid hanging out in the danger zone for too long. It's the space between your front wheel passing their rear wheel and your handlebars being next to their hip. I'm not saying you should never ride here, but I wouldn't be hanging out in the spot all day. This is where you're most vulnerable. This is not the place to drink from your bottle, eat a snack, check your computer, or look behind you. So if you find yourself overlapping and a little too close to the rider in front of you, don't panic. Take your time, correct your position by either falling back, moving up, or to the side if there's space. Nothing should be done suddenly, and try to be as predictable as possible so that the riders behind you can anticipate your next move.
With another rider hitting you without crashing. What happened? What happened? You chickened out. I know, it's funny. Bumping into you without crashing. You're not bumping into me. You're scared, haha. Well, that didn't take that long to watch, and hopefully you learned something out of it. My videos are usually educational, informative, or entertaining, and sometimes they're all three. So if you enjoyed this one, you might want to check out one of these, and I'll see y'all on the other side.